Hey, how's it going? Welcome to the Breakfast Club. I'm Kazoom. Sorry for not making a video last week. I've been struggling with depression again, and just trying to focus on whatever I can to be happy in whatever way I can. Earlier this week, I got a call from my friend Tyler, who has been taking care of Misty, who was my dog since 2007. He started taking care of her in 2014 when we could no longer have Misty here at my mother's because she would just lay right in front of where someone is walking. And my mother tripped on her twice, almost broke her hip. So we've had, we couldn't have her here anymore. And my friend Tyler, thankfully, was willing to take care of her. And I got a call a little earlier this week from Tyler stating that Misty is at that point now where she can't keep in her shit or piss, and she's basically laying around in absolute misery. So they're probably going to have her put down. And I started crying. I did not do well with that. And, we'd had Misty since 2007 to, my grandmother passed in 2007, my abusive grandmother, but we still did what we could to try to make her life decent in the last days. But we originally got Misty to try to make my grandmother's life a little bit better in her last days, and it worked for a bit. It helped. I became very, very attached to Misty, but hearing this news about Misty just really kind of sent me into a tailspin. And earlier today got even worse. I read that Trump is probably going to go back on his campaign promise not to touch Social Security and not to, do things that would seriously affect those that are on disability income. I'm very fortunate in being able to stay with my mother. I pay about $400 a month, and I'm able to help out my mother my mother's physical health has been deteriorating. She's becoming more and more crippled, and she's got a lot of surgeries to get. It's making it even hard for her to drive, so I drive her around to most of the places she needs to go. She can still drive once in a while, but I still feel very fortunate. The little amount that I make, on this disability income is not going to pay for an apartment. I would definitely have to have roommates, or unless I was to sign up for one of the, the low-income apartment kinds of things. But now the way that is, it takes years to get enough on that list that you can actually utilize it. So, yeah. So this news about Trump possibly going back on his promise, it made me pretty depressed. So I some of the things that's given me hope is the idea that, in my later years, I'm not going to be, eating cat food, living, out of dumpsters and in little shanty shacks or a cardboard box or whatever. I've had the hopes that that wouldn't be my future. But with the potential of losing my disability income, that those fears have come back, and it really has me worried. And so anyway, this video was originally, and I'm still going to talk about it, but it was originally going to be about gun violence and how so many people seem to want to tackle gun violence, particularly those on the left seem to want to tackle gun violence. It's like, oh, you take care of gun violence by restricting or banning guns. And I'm like, no, that doesn't... Guns aren't the reason why people commit these acts. People commit these acts because they have other problems. We need to take care of those problems. And yes, it's a complex issue. But, I mean, this country is obsessed with guns, and some of this is because it's kind of some of the roots of our culture. I mean, it's in the Constitution. It's an integral part of our culture. And I mean, we want to discourage people who would use guns to do bad things from doing bad things. We want to remove the reasons why they would do bad things. Guns aren't the reason why people want to do bad things. Guns are merely a method of someone carrying out bad things. It's like the war on drugs. Drugs themselves aren't bad, and making drugs illegal makes the drug problem worse. This has been proven over and over again. The people that try to say, oh, the war on drugs is good because, at least we're trying to tackle the problem. I'm like, no, we know prohibition doesn't work. And really, I mean, when you look at the war on drugs, it's kind of, it could be considered xenophobic, or it could be called culturalist. It could be called racist to some degree, because different cultures have... different drugs are more of a match for certain cultures. That's just kind of how it is. And when we make it so the only culture that we're allowing is the culture that revolves around alcohol, I mean, that's messed up. It is. It's messed up. But I don't understand this idea that somehow banning weapons or making it difficult to get weapons will somehow change people's reason for wanting to use weapons to do bad things. It just doesn't make any sense. And people can say, well, it works in Europe, it works in Australia, and I'm like, those countries don't have our culture. They simply don't. It just doesn't make any sense to go any further than we already have when it comes to regulations on guns. It just doesn't make any sense to push that any further than we already have, than the system that we already have. It just doesn't make any sense. I don't understand why it seems to be a liberal tradition to demonize guns instead of demonizing the violence itself and demonizing the things the mindsets that are behind the violence. So, I don't know. It's weird. I mean, to me, the way that so many liberals and Democrats will push this forth, it kind of reminds me of those traditionalist religious Republicans trying to state that being gay is wrong because AIDS. It's messed up. It's just messed up. It's fucked up logic. And I don't get it. Prohibition doesn't work for really hardly anything else. It makes, prohibition makes the problems associated with drugs, it makes the problems worse. I mean, this has been proven over and over again. We need to look at this stuff differently. So, I guess I'm not really sure where to go with this now, but I appreciate your watching and listening, and this place that you're looking at is something that I got over this past week. I finally decided let's rent some really, really cheap land here in Second Life. And others, have their little plots of land, and I just got this little place. Just wanted to decorate and sort of make it look like it's I don't know, you could call it a commune or a getaway, a Celtic getaway or something, So, and it's been helpful to focus on something else. So, ooh, look, an outhouse. Do. Okay. Anyway, thanks for watching.